All right, so now we have all the ways to find limits. We have a pretty good understanding of what a limit is. Now we're just gonna kind of start mixing up representations. So these are the types of problems that they ask on the AP exam that are kind of weird, but if you see them, then you kind of understand what's going on. All right. So this is a type of problem where they kind of mix notation. So in the top, we have two graphs, but in the bottom, they're using the f of x and g of x notation and all that stuff. All right, so before, we can answer questions like this. But now they're mixing these up, but our limit laws say we can break up our limits over addition and subtraction. This is why it's important to still remember the limit laws. All right, that is not a minus sign there. That's me underlining the plus sign. All right, so they kind of force you to know things that you don't really need any more in general. Like if we're trying to find a limit now, we pretty much never use the limit laws. We just plug in values or simplify. But they'll force you to use laws in ways like this. So now we know this. Now we can do the limits using the graphs. -3 from the right for f of x. Right, from the right is going to be -2. G of x from -3 from the right is going to be +2. So our answer is 0. All right, so these are just the type of problems that you might see on an AP exam. They start kind of mixing up things and forcing you to know properties you really don't use that much in reality. But they're just kind of making sure you know these things since you were taught them at some point. Same thing here. We know limits can break up over division and multiplication. So you can even simplify this step. You don't have to write it all out. You can find the limit of f of x as x approaches 2, which is there. That looks like it probably wants to be 3. G of x at 2, I'm going to say it's -8. And that generally a little bit more clear if this is going to be on an AP exam. Cancel out the 3s and we get -8 as our final answer. All right, so again, just mixing these things up. If it's a multiple choice question, you don't actually have to write that you're splitting it up through the limits. Just know that how these limits work, even though we have two different functions in the same expression. I had one more. Again, this time I'll just write it out. All right, we can break up limits over subtraction signs. We can bring out constants. We can take out exponents. So if we do all of that, just to save some time, I'm going to do all at once. So 3 will come outside of this limit of the f of x. I can break it up over the subtraction sign. I can bring the limit inside the exponent, like that. All right, so I broke the limit up over the minus sign, brought the 3 out, brought the exponent out, and now I can, again, use my graphs at 1. It looks like f of x is going to be 2. And again, if there's nothing weird going on, the limit's just equal to the function value, so that's how I know it's 2, because it's right there on the graph. For g of x at 1, I'm going to say it's 5. And 6 minus 25 is -19. All right, for our final answer. So again, just using our limit laws in kind of a weird way where you're mixing the graph stuff with our limit laws. We're generally going to do it with algebraic functions and kind of just plugging numbers in. But this is kind of the things you have to expect from the AP exam, of mixing things that you wouldn't really do maybe in the real world, but to making sure you have a really deep understanding of how all this stuff works together.